I want to make a quick point about how, and I can't believe I'm fucking saying this, if you want working class white people on our side, and you do want them on our side, you need to validate their struggles. This is gonna be pretty contentious, but for the love of fuck's sake, hear me out. Something I would always recommend is going out and talking to people. Not online. Online is fine, but the thing about echo chambers is kind of real. Maybe that's a topic for another day. Go out to malls, go out to work sites, go out in the middle of the street, and just talk to people. If you go out and you find these working class white people and you talk to them about social justice, you bring it up, a certain refrain will become common. They don't want to have to make a sacrifice for people whom they either don't know or believe are better off than them. It's easy to just write this off as being selfish, and I'm not going to tell you it's not selfish in every case, but in most cases, it's not. At least not in the way that it's accurate to presume. A lot of these people, most of these people, have it really rough right now. Because most people everywhere have it really rough right now. Everyone has to struggle to get by. That's the world we live in, and it's going to stay that way until we change it. And when you go out and you find these white working class people and you talk to them about social justice, they're not hearing you talk about how you can make their lives better. They're hearing how you want them to help you make someone else's life better. That's a problem. And again, this is a common refrain that I hear. It's a problem because they think that you're saying their problems don't matter. You are invalidating their struggles. I'll go into it more next week, but suffice it to say for now that these people whom you're wanting to talk to have been conditioned for decades to believe that people on the left, especially people on the far left, do not care about their problems. And that is the biggest and most important hurdle you're going to have to jump over. Something else that I'm kind of cognizant of. There are people whose first response to me talking about the struggle of the white working class is to say that people of color and people on the LGBTQA+ spectrum have it considerably harder than white people. And I don't disagree. I go out and that's why I do the activisming, because they have it harder in general. But that's not how you're going to get through to these people. Again, I'll go into this next week. This isn't just by the right either, it's just by general experience. There have been lots of times when, trying to appeal to empathy has ended very badly. Take Live Aid, for example. That ended pretty poorly. And that's to say nothing of how the Iraq War was framed in some circles, and still is framed in some circles, as a humanitarian effort. Perhaps more importantly, and related to the first point, if you give these people the opportunity, they will observe that people on the LGBTQA spectrum and people of color have it harder by themselves, because it's something that's evident in our society. And, sidebar, I don't know how this has gone so thoroughly unremarked upon, but part of the reason that white people are so willing to throw everyone else under the bus is because of literal fucking segregation. Literal fucking segregation. I don't have the time to go into this. Quickpoints has a video about America still being racist. I'll link that in the underbar. You can go watch that to see what I'm talking about. But you have to understand that people aren't, and yes, I'm going to say this again, people aren't stupid. They know when they're being fooled, they know when they're being taken advantage of, and most of the time, they know who's doing it. Okay, all of that disavowal out of the way. Let's say that you're feeling brave and you want to go out into the great white wilds and talk to these people. What do? I mean, I don't know why you're asking me. I'm not good at talking to people. But I think maybe I have some advice that would be useful to follow a little bit. First off, focus on systems, not people. Perfect example of this is the election of Donald Trump. It is literally pointless to be angry at people who voted for Donald Trump, because people voting for Donald Trump is not what got Donald Trump in office. It was a system rigged to favor the GOP that got Donald John fucking Trump in office. Still makes me mad. While changing people's individual behaviors is nice and is helpful to some degree, it's also not what we're actually trying to do. We need to change these complex, interlocking systems. We need to challenge those things. And you're not going to challenge or change those things by making a bunch of people change their minds. Second, focus on how these systems are complex and interlocking, and require complex solutions to solve. My favorite example is prisons. You have all these different systems. You have federal prison systems, you have private prison systems, you have federal court systems, state and local court systems, generally local police forces, a multitude of businesses who either provide goods to these prisons or whom the prisons provide goods and services for, and all of that is encouraging the police to arrest as many people as they possibly can, including this guy's cousin Randy. Prisons aren't my favorite example because it's complex and interlocking in a clearly demonstrable way. Prisons are my favorite example because everybody knows somebody who's been fucked by that system. Sometimes it's a person themselves who got a bad sentence. Sometimes a person knows someone who got a bad sentence. Or worse, somebody knows someone who got away with something who shouldn't have. Think your Brock Turners and your Roman Polanskis. Third, focus on the need to unify rather than the need to stop one group or another from being oppressed. Don't frame rising up against injustice as a sacrifice that someone needs to make. Frame it as something that people are already doing and it will be beneficial to the person you're talking to do as well. Because that's true. All of those things are true. This new-ish progressive movement got started back in 2008 when Occupy Wall Street was a thing. I know that I took my first steps towards radicalization into the far left, which is where I seem to have inexplicably landed in the political spectrum, because of people who were involved in the Occupy movement, who I met when I was involved in local politics. And this goes back to the invalidation thing. People have it hard. Everybody has it hard. Some people have it harder than others, but that's not the point. The point is that we need to want to make things better for everybody. Everybody. That's the only way any of this is going to work. And that's not to say that all of this is dependent on the participation of straight, white, cisgendered, working class people. I mean, they are the people who are going to have the easiest time changing the system from the inside, but that's kind of not the point. The point is that these are the people who've been brainwashed into believing that we're the bad guys. And if we can take some of them and convince them that we're not, then we'll make the real bad guys, the capitalists, and the fucking 1% people, we'll make them weaker. And I don't know, I think that's a good thing. This way of talking to people works. It's worked with me talking to people in the past, and I'm not good at talking to people. There's a very specific reason it works. It works because almost everyone in our society understands these things on a gut level. I feel like I shouldn't have to keep saying this, but I'm gonna keep beating on this drum. People are not stupid. People know when they're being fooled, people know when they're being taken advantage of, and most of the time, people know who's doing it. Right now, people know that they're being fooled. Right now, people know that they're being taken advantage of, at least most of them. We just need to get them to understand who's doing it. The capitalists. And that's easy. That's easy. Because in their gut, in their heart, they already know. Alright, let's hand it over to editing, Ron. How's that for a transition?
Your transition is bad and you should feel bad.
Hey, editing Ron here. Sorry this one took so long. I've been swamped recently.
I've been so busy that I've lost time and I'm disoriented. That's how shitty things have been.
Well, not entirely shitty. My friend had his baby. It's a boy. Something I wanted to clarify if it wasn't clear enough in the video. The next video is not going to come out next week. It's going to come out this Saturday at the regularly scheduled time. I already have it scripted out. I'm going to record it tomorrow, probably. I hate going off schedule. I might do a video between then and now. Not about the shooting in New Zealand, but about the media reaction to it.
I have some incredibly contentious, I dare say inflammatory, things to say about that are going to get me nailed to something. Probably a cross. Not a lot to say this week. I'm getting better at saying what I mean to say. Eventually, editing Ron is going to be obsolete. The working title for next week's video is Fuck Fox News and Everything They Represent. That probably won't be the final title. I'm still working on what that is. Until we get there, though, take care of yourselves, alright?